drive my car? Who's gonna drive you home? Well, I'm a friendless stranger in the black sedan. Won't you hop inside my car? On the expressway to your home. Beep, 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 beep.
Lake Hits, Stock 103.9, Lake Area's #1 station, auto show, back. Chip Lyness and guest host Louie Herron from Louie Herron Toyota in Milledgeville, talking about credit and buying cars.
Love those tunes, man. Huh? That's
I
your
like that
compilation
too.
you put together for me.
Little drive tunes.
That's it, man. I like it. So we're talking credit, Chip. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? We covered some stuff. It seems so basic, right? But you think it's helpful?
It really is helpful. And I'll tell you, if you are planning to buy a car, maybe your credit's not so good. You may want to just take 6 months to get it repaired before you go in and shop.
Man, you're stealing my points. You don't even know. But actually, that's actually a point that I had, but I wasn't getting to that. We're going to talk about this third point. We're going to tie this down real quick. So if you've been listening, if you're just now joining us, you come at a good time. If you've been hanging on, this is going to put it all together for you. Tips on your credit and car buying. The first thing we talked about was know your credit. So Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, and so on and so forth. That kind of gives you an idea where your credit score, what kind of bureaus are out there. You want to go to freecreditreport.com. Once you do that, you want to understand what your score means. Are you failing? You got a B grade or you have a C? That's your beacon score. The reason why that's important is because you want to do this third and final step, and that is you want to check the average rate for your score. Sounds fair enough. The question is, how do you get that information? Well, here's how you do it. You go to myfico.com, FICO.com. Now, I will tell you this will cost $12.95 to you. Louie doesn't get any kickback. I don't even know the company. I don't have anything to do with it. This is strictly for you, the consumer. I believe in my heart $12.95 is worth making sure you don't pay 2 points of rate or a point of rate that maybe you could have really looked at and know exactly where you stand. Or more importantly, walk out of a store because you think you should qualify for 9%. But really, when you look at the myfico.com, 12.5 is really the best rate for your score. Yep. So you don't want to miss a deal and walk out on principle, but you got to know where to go. So for $12, you can go to myfico.com. Now, once you get there, it's basically the auto loan check. It's an auto loan chart. It basically lines up. You should already have freecreditreport.com. You've got all your numbers. You've got your beacon score. One thing I want you to keep in mind, though, the loans are not made strictly on just the beacon score alone. Let me tell you this one critical thing. If you're somebody out there and your credit has been damaged through the economy, through divorce, through circumstance over the last 4 or 5 years, that's a lot of people are in that camp. If that's you, first of all, it's okay. We can have guaranteed credit approval. You can buy a car. I will tell you this, though. Just because you have a D grade, you're in the 500s, low 500s, you can still qualify for C rates. Do you know how you can do that, Chip?
Mm-mm.
Cash is king.
Oh, I see.
Cash. Now, here's the deal. Does the dealership care how much money you put down? No, it doesn't. We don't make any more, any less profit by how much money you put down. What happens is the bank that's going to loan you the money feels a lot better knowing that you're a 525 beacon score. You have a story. We had a divorce. We had the economy. My business went under, whatever the case may be. But I've got $3,000 to put down, and I'm not trying to buy a $40,000 new car. I'm buying an $18,000 SUV. I need to take my kids to and from school and gymnastics and the soccer practice and so forth. The deal makes sense. Are you tracking, Chip?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the real dialogue that goes on when I'm on the phone with a lender personally, and they've given me a turn down, and I'm looking at them, and I have all the clout in the world to say, listen, we're a good dealer. We do a lot of business with you. Miss Johnson, she's local out of Eatonton. She's a great person. Or Mr. Smith, he's from Milledgeville, and he worked at Ream. They shut the plant down. He's worked there 17 years. He's lived at his current address for 21 years. He's got $3,000 he saved up. He wanted a new car. He's open-minded to a used car. We're on a $20,000 or $18,000 Camry. The guy deserves a shot. I can get that deal approved.
I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and what a great reason to buy local. You do that in Atlanta, you're not getting to first base.
You're not even getting to first base.
Yeah.
So, again, you got to have all 3 points, right? The 3 points are know your credit. Second point is understand what your credit means. And the third point is you put those two together so you can find out on myfico.com what should your rate be. So you can kind of put the whole thing together and make sure you have cash down in the deal.
Louie, can you ask the finance manager when you go back there, how much money do I need to put down on this car to get the lowest finance rate?
You can. It won't help you that much when your credit is not so good. Because what they're looking at to lower an interest rate has to come from debt to equity ratios. That's really what they're looking for as far as just actually buying down a point of rate. We have coupons and rates that can be bought down. Typically, though, that's consumers that have good credit. And so if you're in a bad spot, but you still can. I'm telling you now, if you have $4,000 or $5,000 cash down, that's 5,000 reasons why you should get a great rate.
I got you.
You know. So, LJ, any thoughts on credit? We're talking a lot of credit. You're looking perplexed over there, buddy. Do you understand this whole thing? What do you think? What do you think about this? About putting cash down on a vehicle? How much sense does that make?
It makes perfect sense, because if you don't put any cash down, of course they're not going to give you anything. But you gotta put a little bit more cash down usually than you would at normal dealerships. But the way you're explaining this, it flows a lot better than it does sound, because they usually think they need to put the exact amount of money that they have on there.
Exactly. And so what LJ's saying, actually, he just said a point and didn't even realize it. The banks typically don't require 10 or 12 or 15% if your credit's good. If your credit is not so good, 10 to 15% is like a prerequisite. However, if you come to the table with 20% down, I'm telling you got a home run ball. So, again, we'll come back and tie everything together. But you got 3 good points with credit and car buying. Chip, any last parting words on that?
No, sounds great.
No?
You just got to save and put stuff down. And I'll tell you one thing I was thinking, Louie, maybe you need to check with your local bank, local credit union, and if the dealership has low financing or cash back, you might want to take the cash back from the dealer and get the low financing.
And again, with our breaks being as short as they are in the time frame, that's something we may continue doing credit and car buying next week, because we've got a lot of points to cover. What you're hitting on is a great point, and I've got some tips that I think is very valuable, because you want to check your local bank and credit union. You don't want to walk in blind. You want to keep that in your back pocket. There's a lot of information. The dealers will match those rates, and the dealer will do everything they can to earn your finance business. And I believe, if you go to the dealership, I think it's going to, in my opinion, the whole transaction can be better, because the dealers, just like the banks, I mean, there's money made in finance, okay, and there's no different at the dealership. So they want to put the deal together for you in any way they can. So, all right. How about you, LJ? What station are we listening to, buddy?
We're listening to the Doc 103.9.
All right, very good. All right, Chip, Louie, and LJ. Special edition of the Auto Show. We got more coming up. Keep it right here, Doc 103.